5, 4. All right. Here we go. Episode 2, the Sunday Beef. I'm Seth. He's Jason, Jay-Z, as we call him. And this may go past 1 o'clock, so some folks here today, Jason, might have a decision to make, either us or the Bills and the Jaguars down in Jacksonville. Or,
you have a lot of...
It's not like 1987, though, where you have to make that choice. There's a lot of technology out there today, so you can do both, right? You can do both.
You can set up, and good afternoon, everyone. You can set up your laptop, your TV, and your phone, and really have an ADHD Sunday experience.
I'll tell you my biggest problem, and I have a feeling you're kind of the same way, just by knowing you, and we're both addicted to our phones, and we want to stay informed. And
what?
Like we're in the group chats and everything like that. We're reacting to everything that not only that we see, but like we hear, because we're so glued to our phones. It's hard for me to watch a game end to end now if not texting anybody or reacting, to what I see on the phone at all. I don't know if you're the same way. I think you are.
Do you catch yourself then missing like the next play too? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. No, I even, it's so bad for me now. Like even the teams I root for, I do that. Like a baseball season, I can understand, right? 162 games. It's hard to watch a season end to end. But like even with the Knicks, where there are fewer games, and obviously with the Giants because they've been so bad, I find myself being a passive viewer at times now, and I'm more in tune with what's happening on the phone than I am with what's happening on the big screen. So.
Yeah, it's weird. And last night was a great example, right? Because that was actually both games yesterday, and we're going to talk about it, were phenomenal football games. Yes. But we did that. We were doing that with Diamond Dan and you in our group text during the Bears game last night, the Bears victory. That game was so good, but a lot of it was reactions and texts. And I was like, whoa, okay, there was another play, and we're still talking about the play 3 plays ago, So it's viewing habits have surely changed since we started watching sports in the early 90s. That's the fact.
To me, this is a great weekend of football, right? Like this divisional weekend. To me, the football season, even though it's still going, it ends after divisional weekend, just because of the volume of games. But I'm forcing myself because it's such a nice day. It's 50 degrees here in Bergen County. I'm taking my kid out at halftime of the Bills and Jaguars game. She likes soccer now, and we're going up to the high school. We're going to kick the ball around for a little bit, just because I got to get her off the iPad.
So, are you the goalie in this? Are you getting the ball?
I usually,
you get a concussion, we're done.
By default. So, by the way, a couple of things here, because I am a radio guy and I like to.
Oh, look, we have viewers. We have viewers.
Oh, Taki. Is this Taki? I think this is Taki from Japan.
It's gotta be Taki.
It is Taki, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning where he is right now. So that's wow.
Dedication. That's some dedication. Taki, man. So when's the last time that I saw Taki, or even you saw Taki?
I saw Taki actually in the fall. He was in Quick Trip, and we went for a nice dinner at the Dallas Barbecue over in Secaucus. And
it's 2 o'clock.
And so real quick on that one. So Taki and I know we're really veering here, but I've never been to the Dallas Barbecue. So I see chicken wings and buffalo wings, whatever. So order the chicken wings. It's like 10 big fried chicken wings that you could eat over the course of a week. Unbelievable, but it was great to see him. Taki says
is this like a Korean barbecue plate? Is that what it was?
No. It's like Korean a Texas barbecue, Midwest barbecue type of deal. Yeah, Taki will tell you. But he says it's 2 a.m. in Japan right now. That's wild. Welcome, Taki. We are happy to have you, and we don't want to impact your work performance later in the day because it is Monday morning in Japan right now. So. We don't want to be responsible, but I know you're very detail-oriented and you always rise to the occasion. You'll do well at work on Monday. So we certainly appreciate that. A couple of things. I'd like to paint the picture and set the stage. So behind me, as you'll see here, I have 3 things. Obviously, the Disco Seth bobblehead from my days. I'm still with the Boulders, obviously. The deal was if I wanted a bobblehead, I had to dress up as Disco Seth and dance on the field, and I fought it in the beginning, but I really came to love it, and there have been a few incarnations of Disco Seth over the years. So I have a bobblehead. to the left of that, to my left of that, is, I guess, I'm rooting for the Bills today, right? So that's kind of like, a Bison behind me. You have a college team up there, the Buffalo Bison. So, we're both from New York originally, right? And so, I'm rooting for the Bills. I've kind of adopted that. I'm not a front runner, but I need a team to latch on to. Although I don't know about you. In all seriousness, I just want good games, right? I think that's probably how you feel too.
We're 2 for 2 so far. It's like, how much better can you get than yesterday?
Yeah. And then on top of that, you can't really see it. So my buddy Dan Buckman and I, we have this tradition. Every time we go to Citi Field, they have what's called a grab bag. You throw in $5 and you pick an item, and you come away with something, and they scale it based on how much you spend. So I actually got an autograph frame, autograph picture of Ahmed Rosario. And the reason why I have Ahmed Rosario behind me is because he marks one of the more significant Yankees free agent signings of the offseason so far. And now he's ours. So I want to commemorate that. And I have a signed picture of Ahmed Rosario behind me from when he was with the Mets. There.
What you just said is actually disturbing, that it's the Yankees' big free agent signing this winter. But what I'll ask you about the Yankees, if they did a grab bag, so what was this? Like everyone says $5. It's $5.
No, I mean they scale it, so they tier it, right?
Okay.
So for $5, you have your choice of this. This is what's in the bag. $10, it goes all the way up. Like you can get some really expensive stuff. But
this is like the minimum, right? $5 is the minimum.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
What do you think? Like if the Yankees did a grab bag, which this seems way too fan friendly for the Yankees to even think about doing, honestly, if they did a grab bag, what would be the minimum? Because I don't think it would be $5.
I would say. I would say a chicken bucket, because the Yankees love selling chicken buckets.
It'd be like $35. This is a huge. We have Diamond Dan's son, Andrew, checking in.
Got a big audience today. So we have Andrew, and then we have
Andrew checking in. If you were a fan of the show when we previously hosted, Diamond Dan had a segment on the show, and he will be on eventually. We're just building anticipation for that time that Diamond Dan comes on. But Andrew, think about this real quick. When we started this show like 2020, and now we're 5 years later.
Yeah.
Andrew's 5 years older. That's crazy that he is now watching and writing to us during the show.
I was going to say,
run in front of the screen.
I was going to say, Andrew texts and drives very well, right? So
he used to just sit on Dan's lap during the show and try to say things in the microphone, and now he's participating actually by writing.
Yep.
That's crazy.
He's got some football inside, I'm sure.
That's great.
Young football player right there. Taki, by the way, has assured me this is like the slowest open ever. But Taki has assured me that today's a national holiday in Japan, so we have nothing to worry about. We won't have to worry about impacting his work performance. So,
yeah. And I would say your thought about the show open, this would not fly with Spike Eskin.
No, Spike Eskin would not like this. No, he definitely would not.
We have not argued yet. We have not debated yet. We haven't even talked about a New York sports team yet, except the Yankees chicken buckets.
No, his style is get to the point within a minute, and we've kind of dragged on for about 9. But so anyway, so here we are, and there's a lot going on. Why don't we start with the Bears and Caleb last night, because that was impressive. Oh, yeah. And what I want to start with is, you're big on Caleb. You love Caleb, and I'm sitting here waiting for Caleb to self-destruct. But I saw a stat last night, and I knew the Bears, they were pretty good inside of 2 minutes, but I saw a stat last night. Caleb Williams led the Bears to 7 comebacks inside of 2 minutes this year. And you know what? I got to give the guy his due.
You can judge a quarterback or many athletes, but there are some positions that when the crunch time is in, that's how you see how someone really is. I didn't obviously admittedly watch much of Caleb this year. I don't have the NFL package. I don't watch every game. But a couple of weeks ago, that Bears-Niners game, which was just absolutely insane. And the Bears ended up losing, but the way Caleb kept bouncing back and his ability to score when it mattered, to bring the team down, kept coming back, his body language, how he was assembling his troops kind of really roped me in. And I've been trying to convince you for weeks. Yesterday, you were like, absolutely not. I don't think this guy, I don't like this guy. And last night just shows you what he has in his veins when the game is on the line.
Yeah, no, he makes big plays, right? And this is where legends are born in the playoffs. You know me, when I make a point, I try to dig in and defend it. Doesn't always work so well, but you got to give him credit. But, I will say my concern with the Bears here, they're going to get another game at home, obviously. My concern with the Bears is defense, right? They gave them more than 400 yards yesterday. They gave up a lot of points to the Niners. So I think when you get deeper into the playoffs and, you're fighting to get to that Super Bowl, I think, defense matters. So I'm just a little concerned about their ability to shut down other teams on the defensive side. But I got to tell you, too, I mean, I found myself – I've always had a soft spot for the Bears growing up. I don't know why.
Working man city, working class city, blue collar.
I was kind of rooting for them, and I found their fans to be kind of fun last night, and I was really happy for them because they were suffering or they've been suffering for so long. So I kind of enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, they're drinking their Malort, they're having a good time. It's here's the thing too about the Bears. The Seahawks, they are not, the Texans, they are not when it regards to defense, right? I made a bold prediction on Monday on my Morning Musings show, and I don't know, maybe I was still asleep or didn't have enough coffee, but I made the call that it would be a Bears and Broncos Super Bowl, the battle of orange and blue, and totally out of left field, but after last night and seeing the Bears' ability to never be out of a game, no matter what, makes me feel like that's not totally improbable.
No, I think the biggest difference with the Bears this year is the fact that Caleb Williams last year was under duress. He was sacked almost 70 times, and this year it's been during a regular season about 25, a little less than 25, and that matters. Having a sound offensive line obviously matters. And, they'll host another game. I think it'll be either the Rams or the Eagles next week. And, we'll break down those teams as we go forward here. But, I guess I look at the Bears. I guess I don't know if I can convince myself that they would come out of the NFC right now, but you have to take them seriously because Williams has shown the ability to make big plays and bring his team back from behind. I think they dig some holes for themselves a little earlier, than you'd like to see. And I don't know if that style works. I don't think you can keep battling back from behind, but they're fun to watch and they have the pieces, and Ben Johnson has certainly made a difference.
Yeah, and I understand if they're in the hole against a team like Seattle who doesn't give up any points, can they come back? That's fair to really be concerned about that. Ben Johnson's had a great year, questionable on some items last night. Actually, we're seeing one of the things I'll say about these coaches, especially in the playoffs, you see some weird things. And LaFleur last night, I think he was outcoached. But Ben Johnson had his moments. Like, none of these guys are perfect. Yeah. When it comes to game management, none of these coaches, especially in this hyper-aggressive NFL league, going for it on fourth and everything now, 2-point conversion, so many choices they have. I don't know. Every one of these guys have a little issue.
Yeah, I think, Johnson was taking a beating for a little while for his game management last night. But so the Rams, the one line, I was on the radio yesterday doing serious reports, and I was watching the game, obviously, because I was updating everybody on it, although people were probably watching the game and not listening to me. But, there are a lot of serious fans that don't necessarily listen to football. I remember when the game, not that it was getting out of hand, but the Panthers, took the lead, you use the words, I'm not impressed. And now, look what ended up happening, right? So I think that it comes down to that veteran leadership of Matthew Stafford. 17 seasons, Puka Nacua, obviously, a couple of big touchdowns. But I think it goes to show you, and it's reflective of what's happening in the playoffs, it's wide open, right? Like, there's a lot of parity. And I think coming into this, we all said the two teams that probably wouldn't have a chance would be the Panthers and the Steelers, more so the Panthers. But it's not easy for a team like that to come east, especially in a playoff situation. And the Panthers did beat them once before.
Yep, and the Panthers almost did it again. And I would say every game is going to be a slobber knocker, in the words of Jim Ross. Good old JR. It's a slobber knocker, and I expect 3 more of those today, and I would be disappointed if any of them weren't. The Rams, maybe we could say this about every team at every game. I was thoroughly impressed, but they won the game. And at the end of the day, especially in the playoffs, in the grind of the playoffs, all that matters is you win the game. Nothing else matters. You were just trying to survive to the next round, and that's all that matters. To your point, it is wide open. There's no clear-cut dominant team here. There are teams with more higher-level star players, maybe, what have you. But does everyone have the complete package? Absolutely not.
Yeah. To me, you could make the argument that the Rams are among the most talented teams in the field right now. They've just fallen off over the last few weeks. All right, so we look ahead to today. This is one of the more intriguing games, the Bills and the Jaguars. And, from where I sit, can Josh Allen finally get over the hump, right? Mahomes isn't there. Lamar's not there. But, I think defensively, the Bills have had some struggles, but they run the ball well. I think Cook might be one of the more underrated running backs. And Buffalo averages about 160 yards per game on the ground. And when you have a running game that does that, it certainly opens things up for a talented guy like Allen.
Yeah, and the Bills go into this game going down to Jacksonville as an underdog. They are, Jaguars are giving 1.5, so almost the even line. Do I think Buffalo wins today? I do. Is it shocking if Jacksonville wins? No, that's a feisty, well-coached football team. Nothing, and they're at home. It wouldn't shock the world, but this would be the end of, if the Bills lost in a year where there's no Chiefs and no Ravens, this would be the end, I think, of this run of the Bills.
I mean, this is the time for them to do it right now. I have some friends who live up there. They're more in tune with the media up there than I am. They seem to think McDermott would survive this just because there have been some injuries this year. So I kind of lean towards that. I know there's been a lot of chatter now, obviously, like LaFleur in Green Bay. But, back to the Jaguars, I think the big question with the Jaguars, are they for real? But, they do have an aggressive defense, and I think they have the ability to make Allen uncomfortable a bit. So I think this is a toss-up.
Yeah, and that's exactly how Vegas thinks it's going to be as well. It should be a really good football game, but a lot of things wouldn't surprise me about this game. I just said I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville won. I also wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen threw 4 touchdowns for 300 yards and the Bills won handily. Yeah. It's like one of those games.
People go back and criticize the Bills' defense. Statistically, this is where it goes beyond the numbers a little bit. Statistically, they're not awful, but if you watch the Bills closely, it's a bit worse. Right? So, but the Bills, to me, they showed themselves, or they showed what they're capable of with a lot of young guys in the second half of that Eagles game. Now, I know the Eagles can't score, obviously, but they do have some capabilities of making life hard for the opposition. So to me, this is about Josh Allen and the running game and Cook and what they can do and finally getting over the hump. But to have to do this all on the road, we remember as Giants fans right back in 2007, Tampa Bay, obviously Dallas, Green Bay, what they did. So they certainly have the makings of a team that will be able to do it. I think the defense is going to have to find a way to step up and make some plays. All right, this is another really all of them are intriguing.
Final prediction. Yeah. You have to choose something. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think the Bills pull it out. I think they find a way to pull it out. I think you're talking about a field goal game here. I think that organization understands the urgency right now. Beyond today, I'm not sure, but I'm leaning Bills. How about you?
Yep, same deal. Most likely a close game. Josh Allen ends up pulling that out.
Yeah. All right, Niners, Eagles. This is another interesting one, right? So the Eagles, we all know they can't score. They can't score for shit. See, I said it.
You're getting edgy, Sam. Let me tell you, you're getting edgy in this.
I haven't dropped that F-bomb yet. I gotta find the right spot. Maybe when we talk about the Rangers, we'll even though you're the Rangers guru. But so we know the Eagles can't score, right? And they want to run Patullo out of town. It is so bad down there. I have cousins who root for the Eagles. I will not name them. But they root for the Eagles, and I took a cheap shot at them when the kid egged Patullo's house. And my cousin, who's a very rational, conservative guy, said, "Yeah, he deserved it." I'm like, "Oh, like all right." I mean, wow. I don't condone vandalism or anything like that. But okay, but that's how they feel about him down there.
Wait, who is it? Scarani or who? Or
no, Patullo, the offensive coordinator. Kevin Patullo.
The offensive coordinator.
Because the consensus is now with Kellen Moore, in New Orleans, and they had a pretty good finish, right? I think Kellen Moore could turn that. He has a shot at really turning that team around.
Okay.
But the thought down there is that the scheming Patullo, they're not very original in their approach. The thought is that he's the problem, right? And I think Sirianni's kind of a polarizing guy, as we've seen. So the Eagles have been dominant at home with Nick Sirianni in the playoffs. I think I saw something on NFL Network earlier, 5-0, like 35 points per game. But out of all the teams in the playoffs, the Eagles are 12th in scoring and they're 12th in total yards. So we know they haven't scored. So, on the other side of this, for me, it comes down to Trent Williams playing for the Niners, and I think he will, based on what I read. Obviously the terrific offensive lineman. Going to be a game-time decision, but I believe he's going to play. Ricky Pearsall, obviously, solid wide receiver. He was shot last year and came back and played, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to that for the Niners, but can the Eagles score? It's just the same storyline every week.
Yeah, and my big issue here is the line for this game has Philly given 6. Listen, I know they're at home, and again, we have a team coming from the West Coast to Philly, so hard travel, hard place to play. But this 6-point spread against the Niners, one of the most well-rounded teams in the league, is highly aggressive. So I'm taking Niners money line at plus 215.
Yeah.
But if you want to take the plus 6, even better for you. I just think this is going to be a much closer game than Vegas thinks. So I don't know. Are we missing something? Because it's hard to argue with Vegas. But last night they had a 10-point spread on Rams Panthers, and I thought that was highly aggressive, and I happen to be right. Yay for me for one thing. Beating Vegas, but yeah, I don't get it. Everything calls for a close game here, especially because the Eagles can't score for shit.
Yeah, I think what's puzzling with the Eagles is they have so much talent, right? And Jalen Hurts, I know people want to knock him, but he does show up in big games. He has a tendency to show up in big games. Obviously, Saquon, their receiving core, there's a lot of talent there, and I think it's puzzling to a lot of people why they can't score. People keep going back to the offensive coordinator. I think it stays within that line, quite honestly. I think this could be the type of game. I'm not going to say whoever has the ball last wins, but I think you're going to go into the fourth quarter not knowing who's going to win this game. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and I'll take the Niners too, as I mentioned. I'll take the Niners to win this football game.
And just to give you an idea of what Trent Williams means to the Niners since 2020, when he plays 61-32, when he doesn't play, they're 4-13. So it goes to show you. Yeah, it goes to show you.
So do we have a latest on that? Like what do we need to see if anyone has on him playing today? Because that to me
he said Friday. He said Friday from what I remember seeing that he was confident he was going to play. Pearsall's a bit.
They have him as he's playing. Yep.
Yeah.
Last night he will play. And there you go. Okay.
Yeah. And Ryan, who we both know very well, he says he respects Jalen, but it's really a one-trick pony at this point. If it's not him, who is it really? So, I mean, they have some weapons, but they just haven't figured out a way. I can't discount the defending Super Bowl champs. It's hard for me to believe, as much as I hate the fucking Eagles. And there we go. It's hard for me to believe. You missed what I said. Did your screen freeze? I dropped an F-bomb.
What's that? Oh, no.
By the book, Seth. You just sat there. You're on your phone. We were talking about this earlier. but I can't discount the defending Super Bowl champs who basically have the same roster that they did last year. It's hard for me to believe that they're going to go out like this at home against a West Coast team that's a bit dinged up.
Yeah, and it's amazing 1 year for the next to NFL on what a difference. And in this case, I think we're really focused on some of the offensive coaching because that's the same team, right? So one guy leaves, another guy comes in, coordinator, and they're an entirely different football team. It's really fascinating, honestly.
It goes to show you, though, how tough it is to repeat. All right, so this, to me, I don't know what you think about this game. Is that Rondo or Abby? I can't tell.
Rondo. Abby's sleeping, and she couldn't give a damn. But Rondo's trying to do the show. Rondo's an edge rusher, and he's in the draft this year.
Oh,
he just declared for the NFL draft, and he's going to be an edge rusher.
Is he a day 3 selection?
Because he can't. Well, here's why he's an edge. He can't catch anything, so he's not a receiver or whatever. But a really good tackler.
You need some speed to come off the edge, though. Is he fast?
Very fast.
All right,
very fast.
That helps. All right. So this one to me is one of the more interesting ones. You got the Chargers and Pats. What are you thinking here?
Yeah. So this is probably the game I might be least interested in of the weekend, just because of the teams involved. A lot of people criticizing, a lot of folks criticizing the Pats' weak schedule as part of their reason not to take them seriously. The bottom line is their record is who you say you are, and you have to win games right? No matter what, right? And their comeback from last year, the coaching change, it just shows you a lot about this team that Vrabel was able to coach them to that record so fast after they looked dead in the water last year with Mayo. So I think it's another close football game.
Yeah.
New England's giving 3.5 here. They're home. Chargers again traveling across the country.
Yeah.
I probably Chargers were 11-6, the Patriots 14-3. Chargers are a 7 seed, but not really a 7 seed, right? They're better than that. I think we're going to see some Patriots magic here today.
Well, I think, they're 3.5 point favorite. I think it's a 1-score game. So Drake May, his discipline with the football this year has been amazing, right? Just 11 turnovers. He doesn't hurt himself. But the Chargers defense, I think they have 19 interceptions. Mm-hmm. So, they create opportunities. So they could make May's life a bit hard. Herbert's been banged up. He's been banged up at times. It's like he's been playing with one arm. He's taken a lot of sacks this year, 54 sacks. That's a lot. The offensive line, there have been some injuries. So the big question is New England for real, right? And I'm a big believer you play the schedule. You play the schedule. They can't help the schedule, and they won 14 out of 17 games. I think what you get with a Jim Harbaugh team, you're going to get discipline. I don't think they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. But there's some injury issues there. So I think, a lot of these games, all 3 of these games, I think they could come down to 1 possession.
Yeah, this is how conflicted I am on this game because I actually put the Chargers in my 3-team parlay, all underdog parlay of Bills, Chargers, and Niners today. And I'm sitting here after sleeping on it saying I think the Patriots might win. So the feeling on this game is all over the place, depending on my mood. So that nightcap 8:15 here on NBC tonight is really a legitimate toss-up in my mind. And I think it's going to be a coach's duel. And in that coach's duel, I like Vrabel. I'm a big Vrabel. I wish the Giants had gotten Vrabel.
Yeah, I think he was destined for New England once things went south with Mayo, obviously. But it goes to show you, and this is why I want John Harbaugh so badly. It goes to show you what a coach like this can do for a franchise, changing the culture, scheming, having the right staff. Obviously, Harbaugh's done pretty well with LA, and then obviously Vrabel, what he's done with New England. Boy, Tennessee's got egg on their face letting him go, but. It matters. It goes to show you that it does matter. And then it's not today. We'll touch on it tomorrow. Steelers, Texans. I'm not counting out the Steelers. I got to tell you, they're playing at home, Monday night game. You got Aaron Rodgers. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers, but, he's been getting the ball out quickly this year. TJ Watt's back. Texans, look, their defense is the best defense in the sport, right? But, at the same time, their offense can be inconsistent, although I think, Stroud obviously above average. I'm not saying it's going to be a one-score game. Whoever has the ball last wins, but I'm not counting out the Steelers tomorrow night. I'm not.
No, I think the Texans win this football game. I think the Steelers are going to have a hard time scoring, and that's really the long and short of it. Do I think it leads to a dismissal of Mike Tomlin? I do not. No. I think he's done, again, so much with what he had, and I don't think he goes anywhere if they lose that football game. But I do think the Texans win it. Low scoring affair, though. Like, I don't even know what the over-under is for that game. But whatever it is, what is that over? 38.5. 38.5 is the over.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if they'll get there.
So I'm not counting out the Steelers. I do see this as a Texans win because their defense is so strong, and I think they can make life very hard for Aaron Rodgers. But I think the key for Rodgers is to do what he's done, so much this year. Get the ball out quickly. Get the ball, because if he doesn't, then he's going to have a lot of problems.
Texas defense is going to put Rodgers in a cast. The rushroom can.
Ryan.
Aaron's going to need to go sit in one of those dark rooms after the game tomorrow. I feel.
All right, so let's do a quick recap on this and make our picks for today because we got to do that. Okay. All right, Bills, Jacks, who you taking?
So I got the Bills.
Okay. I got the Bills too. Niners, Eagles, who you taking?
Got the Niners.
As much as it pains me, I'm going to take the Eagles.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I know why you're taking the Eagles.
Well, we're going to talk about. I'm going to tell all Giants fans in a couple of minutes why you need to be Eagles fans today. But yeah,
that's what you call a teaser in the business.
Couple of minutes. I should have done that in the beginning. All right, Chargers, Pats.
I'm switching. I'm going back to the Chargers because my parlay has the Chargers. I'm sticking with the Chargers.
I'm taking New England, and tomorrow Steelers, Texans. I'm taking the Texans.
Yeah, same.
Okay. On to the elephant in the room, John Harbaugh. All right. So doing what I do, and I'm not getting up on the soapbox, but we talked about this earlier this week. When I do a sports report or an NFL report or an MLB report, when I read tweets, I got to be very careful as to where it comes from, right? So I'm kind of trained and I kind of know, where the legitimate things come from now. So like in the NFL, obviously, Jay Glazer, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Mike Garafolo, from NFL, Adam Schefter, ESPN folks, Fowler, guys like that. So I think it's important to understand that, we've seen a lot of conjecture. We've seen a lot of tweets from people that might think, and I'm not demeaning their credibility, maybe they're tuned in and we don't know them. But, everybody just playing out scenarios. So I really think we need to be careful where we're getting our information from when it comes to John Harbaugh.
Yeah, and that goes with most things these days. And you'll see so much conjecture, so many thoughts to make your head spin, right? Connecting them here, connecting them there, connecting them everywhere. I don't think we really know.
No. So Glazer did come out, though, and say yesterday Harbaugh was going to narrow it down to 3 or 4 teams, right, and then take it from there. So here are the vacancies right now, and you have some wild cards coming in here too, potentially. We'll see what happens. Obviously, the Giants, the Browns, the Falcons, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the Titans, and the Raiders, right? So from what I'm reading and just my feeling on it, which team has a settled quarterback situation and which team doesn't need a full rebuild, kind of those two boxes right there. So I'm going to tell Giants fans right now why you need to root for the Eagles today, okay?
Oh, Lord.
So, and it pains me to
goes
say
against
this,
everything I stand for.
It makes me sick, and I'm not going to sit there and sing "Fly, Eagles, Fly." But, so from what I'm reading, there's a contingent of Eagles fans that want to run Sirianni out of town. And I actually think Philly's a more aggressive sports talk market than New York is, So I don't know how vociferous, that groundswell is to get rid of him. But if the Eagles lose today, could you see a situation if Sirianni gets fired?
I don't think he gets fired.
I don't think Howie Roseman would be the type of guy to do it.
A year off of a Super Bowl, unless there's something in the locker room when they do the end of year interviews with the players, unless there's something in that locker room going on that we don't know about him, maybe. But other than that, just on-field performance, I don't think so.
I think the more likely move for Philadelphia would be to fire Patullo, the offensive coordinator who we've been talking about.
Taki never thought he'd hear you say you need to root for the Eagles. That's what I'm saying, Taki. Like, I think Seth has lost his marbles. So he's so deep in this Harbaugh that he wants to root for the freaking Eagles.
So real quick, just as a quick aside, I guess we're not going to make 1 o'clock. We're going to go over it, whatever. It's fine. So I have my Philadelphia family who said that they're going to try to teach Ella, my daughter, to sing "Fly Eagles Fly."
Oh,
right.
Oh,
and I told them, I said, this is the deal. I said, you can teach her, but you're going to take her for 2 weeks and you're going to pay for everything that comes with her. And that's how it's going to go.
that is brutal.
But they might actually do it because she's a little cousin. Everybody loves a little cousin. So
I have to tell you about the first time I heard that song in person. I'm at Diamond Dan, who, by the way, might be joining us. Breaking news.
I think I had asked
Diamond Dan might be joining us.
Oh my!
But Diamond Dan and I were at a few friends in DC at a bar watching Giants Eagles with the Miracle at the Meadowlands Part 2 game where Matt Dodge forgot how to kick a punt out of bounds.
Yeah.
And what's-his-face returned it for a touchdown. And the Giants lost the football game. And the bar started playing Fly Eagles Fly. And I think Diamond Dan almost decked someone that worked there. Because they were playing that freaking song.
I think I had acid reflux the first time I heard that song. So my point is, if the Eagles were to fire Sirianni, in my mind, along with the Packers now, if they get rid of LaFleur, those 2 jobs would instantly vault to the top 2 jobs, right? And I think it would hurt the Giants' chances, although I can't get into Harbaugh's head because those are 2 teams. They have the talent. They don't need to rebuild. Their quarterback situations, as much as Hurts has struggled this year, stable, obviously. I don't think Jordan Love is the next Tom Brady, but I think, you can win with him in the right situation.
Jordan Love, where does Jordan Love stand in the quarterback rankings in this league?
I don't think he's the top tier, quite honestly.
I don't either. I think
I think you can have a legitimate debate if he's even top 10. I think the money he got was a product of what the other guys were getting at the time. Remember when Tua got that money? We saw what happened to Tua here. So I maybe he's like on the edge of 10th. Maybe, but I don't think, I don't think he's Matt Stafford, and I don't think he's Justin Herbert, and I don't know. I mean,
well, would you rather? Okay, Stafford's old, right?
Yeah.
Stafford. I can't like say that.
Bad comparison.
Stafford.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Drake May or Caleb Williams?
Yeah. Yeah, I would because I think there's more upside. I think we kind of know what Jordan Love is right now, and I think there's more upside that we might not have tapped into with those guys yet. Yes.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I don't
think
he's
all right.
Be
so
top.
That's why I'm rooting for the Eagles because I don't want Sirianni fired and Harbaugh going to the Eagles, so I have to hear from them again after they took Saquon. That's why I don't want to hear it. Because Harbaugh is a game changer in terms of culture. But I do think as Giants fans, right, I think you need to prepare yourself. Okay, there are these other jobs out there that might be a little bit better, especially if LaFleur gets fired. By the way, LaFleur could be a good candidate in Miami.
I don't think LaFleur's getting fired.
I don't think so, but he does have a year left, and he's not going to be a lame duck going into next year. So
They might amicably. I can't speak. Part ways because they don't want to extend him. so he doesn't go into it. I do think that's possible.
And the only reason why I say Green Bay, if they do move on from before, Schefter came out and tweeted this earlier. The former Packers president, who's revered in Green Bay, his son is an agent for John Harbaugh, and Harbaugh has ties to the Midwest. And, that could make sense. And the fact that you remember, a lot of folks had Green Bay going to the Super Bowl this year at the start of the season. So
yeah, but a lot of Harbaugh, you can draw that line with Harbaugh to anyone. Oh, he's got relationships with the Maras. He respects the Giants. You've heard that too, right?
Yeah.
Relationships with Green Bay. If you've been around the game as long as he's been around, he has relationships and ties everywhere. Yeah. So I don't really think that's the thing. I think the first thing you said today about him is the thing. Which team has the quarterback and which team is not a complete and utter rebuild with unstable ownership? And you say what you want to say about the decisions the Giants have made over the last many years. They are when you compare them to Tennessee, or Miami even, they are a stable organization with a very storied NFL legacy. And that means a lot to someone like a John Harbaugh looking for his next job.
I think so. And I think what happened this year, we talked about Shane and, building the roster on the fringes and lack of depth in certain areas. And I think that's a problem. But what I will say is I don't think the Giants are that far away from turning around. If you get the right guy in here, like a John Harbaugh, and I don't think Kevin Stefanski would be a terrible choice. Remember, before Harbaugh shook loose, everybody thought, okay, Stefanski's our guy, and then we'll settle for Mike McCarthy, right? So, I don't think the Giants could be far away. I'm not saying they're going to go to 14-3 like the Patriots did, but I think there are enough pieces there, obviously, with Scadaboo and Neighbors and Dart, Brian Burns defensively, where they could turn it around next year. I don't think they're as bad as many might think. I think there's some pieces, that are there for them.
Yeah, for sure. And just real quick, what Ryan had mentioned here a little bit ago, the lack of talk around McCarthy has me thinking he's in contention. I actually don't agree with that. This is a very transparent these days. We know who's interviewing. We know who the names are tied to with so much media insider stuff. Yeah. The fact we haven't heard McCarthy means I don't think he's really anywhere right now, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think. I think the Giants really like Stefanski, and I think if Harbaugh doesn't work out, I think Stefanski is option 2 for the Giants. Whether you agree or disagree, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just wonder if a guy like Stefanski sees the Giants putting the full court press on Harbaugh, say, well, all right, I'm not feeling the love. Does he end up going somewhere else?
So I don't think anyone goes anywhere until I don't think these guys go anywhere until the Harbaugh thing is decided. If that makes sense.
The domino is right. I think it sets the market, so to speak, right? Not necessarily from a financial standpoint, because I think Harbaugh is just above and beyond anybody else, but I think it sets the market. Okay, he's here. Now the rest of the pieces are going to fall into place. Like, Harbaugh, can you see him going to a place like the Browns? They need a rebuild. They have Myles Garrett. Yeah. Their quarterback situation is unsettled. I could see a guy like Harbaugh going to Atlanta. They have some pieces. I don't know if we know what Michael Penix Jr. is going to be. I think Kirk Cousins, obviously, like on the 17th hole right now, but he showed some flashes this year. Harbaugh in Miami. Like, there's a connection. Yeah. There's Harbaugh and Stephen Ross, because Stephen Ross is a Michigan guy, and Harbaugh's brother, obviously, with Michigan. Is Harbaugh going to go to Arizona? No, they need a full rebuild. And, Kyler Murray is what he is right now. He's not great by any stretch. Tennessee, could you see? You have Cam Ward, but that team needs a rebuild, so I'm not sure he would go there. And the Raiders are just a mess. So I don't think Harbaugh is going to go there. Now, that's where I bring in the Eagles if Sirianni gets fired, but I don't think Roseman's that type of GM. And I think McDermott's going to stay in Buffalo. So, just if you rule out the teams that don't make sense, I think the Giants are right there. I'd be most afraid of the Packers right now if they let LaFleur go.
Yep. Yeah, I would too. So we'll hope for the best with that.
What's interesting to me real quick? Robert Saleh's getting some looks from other teams like the Titans, right? And then the Dolphins are requesting permission to speak with him. Yeah. It's interesting to me. So I guess people just, the Jets situation was so dysfunctional, and the Niners defense, is pretty solid. That they want to give Saleh another chance. I mean, there is some bad game mismanagement here, but sometimes these guys, they have a bad first job and they go somewhere else and they turn it around. I just found that interesting.
Hey Seth, we have breaking news.
Is Diamond Dan coming on?
Welcome to the show, Diamond Dan.
Oh, it's good to be back, boys, and congratulations on relaunching.
It kind of helps on a video. It kind of helps on a video stream to see your face. You're not available to do that right now.
I am. I'm currently driving across the great state of New Hampshire with my lucky charm Andrew here.
Oh, all right.
So Dan can't even see the screen right now, I don't think.
Oh, wait.
Dan,
I don't know.
Are you going to be Dad of the Year and take your kids to the Chargers Patriots game tonight?
I think I would become the least Dad of the Year by making them stay up to 8:20 to watch a game at Foxborough and get home at like 4 in the morning.
That sounds like
the traffic out
Oh.
He's driving through the New England woods. He's cutting in and out.
Yeah. So
you in the Berkshires right now?
Is it? If it's not working, we can always do it again. No, where are we? We're in Epping, New Hampshire. We just made a stop for game day snacks at Tuckaway Tavern and Butchery. Shout out Bobby, Chef
yes.
Bobby. I love those New England names. You know what I mean? As much as I detest their teams, I think there's no better place, especially in the fall with the leaf changing colors. I root for misery when it comes to their teams, but I do think it's a scenic place.
Oh, it's beautiful this time of year.
So Dan,
I would wait. Come on up in May.
So Dan, what are your thoughts? I know we all, we're all in the group chat, but why don't you make them public? What are your thoughts on John Harbaugh and where he's going to end up, and the top contenders for his services?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition out there, and everybody's got an angle, it seems, except for the New York Football Giants. But now this the story in Miami, right, with somebody, the family knows this guy, and the Harbaughs and the Rosses or whatever.
Green Bay. Well, the Rosses. Yeah, the Rosses have a connection to Jim Harbaugh, obviously. Just that whole Michigan connection. But yeah, in Green Bay, the former president, his son is an agent for John Harbaugh, and I think Harbaugh has a home not too far from Green Bay. So they're a threat.
Yeah, I guess it all depends on what they do with LaFleur. Andrew and I were listening earlier, and it sounds like there's a 50-50 chance he retains the services there in Green Bay, but I think that's definitely an outlier because you have a fully plug-and-play offense and a fully plug-and-play defense with some standout players there, right? So I don't know. I think the Giants could be players if they get the money right, and I think the key is if the Giants want to be a serious franchise, they got to act serious and make it serious, right?
Yeah, you said it well this week. I mean, that's exactly what you said, and I couldn't have said it better.
Act serious, make it serious. Wow.
Send the Brinks truck down to his house in Baltimore. That's it. Let's go. I'll drive it. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. If the Giants are, the Giants are at a crossroads, right? They're in a position where they've spent the last 6 years being the laughingstock of the NFL. Nobody watches their games. They have an exciting quarterback, and when fully healthy, they could potentially have a very explosive offense with an improved offensive line and an almost plug-and-play defense. So, this is Joe Shane's. I know we've said it before, but this is Joe Shane's time to stand up, right? And if go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
No, I was going to say, so I read a couple of things. Apparently, Shane is putting, this was the analogy that I read, like a John Calipari-like full court press on John Harbaugh directly.
John Calipari.
So you got that. But Dan, I thought you just made a really good point, and I think people tend to underestimate it, but I think it's very real and it's very true in the sense if the Giants make a bad play, a bad special teams player, something that's just embarrassing, they've become a national joke at times, right? Like you wake up on Monday, or not even that, people tweeting right away. You need somebody that's going to come into this organization and he's going to be in charge. He's going to hold guys accountable. He's going to build a culture. John Harbaugh is that guy. He's that guy. I think Stefanski can be that guy, and if ended up being Stefanski, I'd be okay with it. But this is your time. This is your moment to bring in this generation's Tom Coughlin, the way I see it.
I couldn't agree more. And if you look at this merry-go-round of coaches, right, starting with Ben McAdoo and Pat Shurmur, and then Dayball, like none of them had head coaching experience, right, when they came in, NFL head coaching experience. So maybe that experiment of trying to elevate guys, whether they're in the Saban coaching tree or whoever's coaching tree they're in, you need to bring in a serious hand, some guy who's won Super Bowls, and even if that's a transition to another, I'm not saying Antonio Pierce, but somebody like that, you need a steady hand at the wheel to try to get those primetime games back and make the Giants respectable again.
Apparently, Antonio Pierce interviewed very well. The Giants were impressed with him from what I read. They said that he's strong. Yeah.
I've heard that before, right, from the Raiders. But,
Joe Judge interviewed good, too.
Oh, I forgot. Look at that. It was such a blur and a blip that I forgot Joe Judge when I rattled off all those head coaches over the last 6 years, right?
Yeah, I know. We've seen how winning the press conference.
And he ended up being a fraud. So there you go.
He's back where he belongs. I think he's a college level coach, and one of these days he'll probably get another stab at an SEC head coaching job. But CC Mike McDaniel, sometimes the NFL is a little tougher than it looks.
Mike McDaniel's going to be a really good OC for someone for a year or two.
No, I think he's got a good shot at becoming a head coach again. He's getting a lot.
He might too. He might be the Browns. He might end up with the Browns. I don't know, or the Raiders.
Yeah, the Browns. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
listen, the Raiders can do a lot worse than Mike McDaniel, and they have.
So, Dan, I always like getting the vibe of what's happening in other cities. And I know you're tied to New York, obviously. We all root for the same teams, but you do live up in New England. What's the mood in Boston now that Bregman's going to the Cubs?
The general sense is that I'm not sure anybody's noticed yet because everybody's so focused on the Patriots' return to glory here in New England. But I think it will land soon. I can guarantee you that most hardcore Red Sox fans probably weren't willing for the franchise to spend $175 million on Alex Bregman, but would prefer to try to split that up over other free agents. I just don't think that Alex Bregman landed here. It was kind of he didn't really assimilate into the town, and he wasn't here long enough to become an endearing character. So I want to say that people aren't that sad to see him go.
Now, Jason, you made a good point when we were texting yesterday. Bregman's 31. He feels older than that, doesn't he?
I know.
Like he's been around such a long time.
I have to tell you, I've lost all sense of time since COVID.
Yeah.
The fact he was part of the Astros nonsense, it just seems like that was 10 years ago at this point, right? So
almost.
I thought he was much older. I don't know.
No, I mean, we should do next week's show with masks, right? I mean, I'm sitting here in my alcove next to my garage. All right, Dan, if you can stick around, I want to get into this Bellinger thing and get a sense of what you're thinking. Obviously, Jason, too. So Buster only reported yesterday, and he's legit, that the Yankees are assuming that Bellinger's going elsewhere. They're going to move on from him and look at other options right now. So, Jason, my first reaction was this could be posturing, and you shot that down right away. Do you think it's real?
Yeah. I think I do think it's real. I don't think the Yankees know how to posture. I don't think they're that. I don't think Brian Cashman is that fucking dynamic of a GM where he understands that whole game, right? I just don't like they are either in or they're not in. They're not I'm pretending to not be in. I don't even think that's a thing. I completely think they're not in, and the only way they come back is if Boris legitimately doesn't have another option for Bellinger at that ask, and he comes crawling back. I don't think it's Cashman being strategic. I don't think there's a fucking strategy for Brian Cashman.
So I'm not defending Dan. What do you think? What's your take? I have mine, but what's yours? Is Dan in a dead zone?
We lost him in the woods.
He's in the sticks. He's in the pine barrens. He's in the Pine Barrens with Paulie and Christopher.
As Ryan goes off about
right.
Cashman.
There he is. There he is.
Oh, good, you're back.
He's got the one bar flashing on the phone.
Yeah. Coming parts unknown here in New Hampshire, but I was saying I think Bregman's the first like big dollar. Is it? So I could go. Oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it any better?
Yeah,
we're good.
We're good. Oh, he can't
all
hear
right.
us.
Yeah, I think Bregman's the first like $3, three-digit $1 million free agent to go. So, Bellinger's he's got leverage against the Yankees. So if they want to walk away and they're going to tell him that, he'll probably go. So I agree with Jason.
I want to get into that. And I want to do a little comparison here. Okay. So the last report, Bellinger, $37 million AAV, 7-year deal, right? So what I want to do now is I want to look at the top outfielders by average annual value, and let's go from there. Let's lay them out first, all right? Just bear with me. Juan Soto, $51 million. Aaron Judge, which seems like a bargain now, $40 million. Mike Trout, $35 million. I know he's been an infielder for a bit. Mookie Betts, when he signed that deal, $30 million. I'm going to throw in Christian Yelich and even George Springer, just for shits and giggles, okay? Now, I want to look at the OPS over the last 3 years, because that's what nobody goes by batting average anymore. I still think it counts for something. So the most important stat I can find is OPS. So Bellinger's OPS, we're going to go over the last 3 years. I'm not going to take his entire career. Things change, okay? OPS, last 3 years against Bellinger's 815. Soto's at 946. Judge 104. Trout 827. So higher than Bellinger. Now it's unfair because Trout's been injured a lot.
Yeah, he played like 3 games a year.
Right. So that's not fair to compare that. Betts 861. Yelich 826. And Springer, who's obviously on the back nine, but still impactful at 782. All right. So I want to ask you, in your mind, where does Bellinger fall? Obviously, OPS is not the only determining factor. You have WAR and other things like that, and I want to compare that with Bregman. So based on those outfielders and those OPSs, where do you think Bellinger falls? Do you think he's 36, 37 per year over 7 years?
Jason, I'm formulating an answer, but Jason, I'm curious to hear yours.
So I'm kind of taking a different approach. I'm skirting the question. I know, Seth.
I know where you're going.
There is no worth. There's none of this makes sense. None of this does not. He does not worth it. Or I will answer the question. He is not worth it. Right? That is not an appropriate number for Bellinger. However, the Yankees, in their situation, you only have a couple of options left here. If you want to field a so-called contending team, you have Bellinger, Tucker, Bichette, and it just seems to be they're not linked to anyone. I just need to sign someone. I need to sign Bellinger. I don't care about the money in years. It's not my money in years.
Yeah.
So I'm of the mind that I'd sign him for that. But that's just it's conflicted. Like I would sign him for that because this team doesn't have a bat. And I'm worried that if they don't sign him, they're not going to get Tucker. They're not going to get Bichette. And boy, you're really fucked.
Well, no, I'm of the mind that if you don't bring him back, you're really in trouble because of what Baltimore has done, what Toronto's done. Toronto, they're like turning into, it's not fair to say this completely, but they're kind of like the Dodgers of the American League with everybody. They're bringing in now Cease and Okamoto and everybody they have. So they're reloading for sure. They're going to be very tough. And then, I'm not counting the Red Sox out, even though they lost Bregman. So I think right now where things stand, you can make a case the Yankees are probably the third best team in the American League East. So, now what I want to do is my instincts, he's not worth 36, 37 for 7 years just to make a move. And I compare it to this. And the money's different, and they're different players. But LeMahieu got 6 years. Everybody said, got to sign LeMahieu, got to sign LeMahieu. January, they finally did. And then last year, with 1 year left on his deal, they DFA'd him, and that's that. with a year left. Now, $15 million is a lot different than an AAV of 36 or 37. But I think the Yankees and Michael Kay said this. There was a lot of pressure to get that deal done, and they did, and look what happened. That's all.
Yeah, and Ryan on here, here's the problem. If you don't feel, I mean, they don't have prospects. The Yankees don't have prospects that are ready to come in. And this is a whole other conversation. Like Dominguez, but Dan, Spencer Jones, you have no idea. Like, I don't trust Brian Cashman's prospects. Who has been, and we discussed this last week, what bat has the Yankees produced outside of Aaron Judge? And he's produced himself, to me. I don't think they did anything to make him any. Who's come up in the minor league system other than Aaron Judge since the Core 4 team? Ooh.
How dare you how dare you spike Gary Sanchez like that?
See, you said something yesterday, Jason.
I have a problem. That's why I'm making bad decisions. And Casey's right. We're paying for declining performance. I'm making bad decisions for Brian Cashman, and Brian Cashman's making bad decisions for himself because the Yankees can't actually develop any talent on both sides of the game, pitching as well. That's on all. I mean, since Andy Pettit, who?
See, Jason, you said something yesterday, and I think it's our mindset, and I think we always fight this as Yankee fans. They used to be gluttonous in their approach, right? Back in the George era, and George ain't coming back, and I think we all have to tell
rebuild with what? Casey, rebuild with what? There's nothing to rebuild with. There are no prospects.
Spencer Jones.
Spencer Jones.
But I
he
think
strikes out 300 times a year.
I think we fall into this trap, and I think you guys would agree. I'll let you tell me if you don't, or if you do. Well, if George were alive, George isn't alive.
What's that other guy's name? George.
Costanza.
Talking about Steinbrenner.
If George
Costanza might be running the Yankees. I don't know.
But I think we fall into this. Well, if George were alive, he wouldn't put up with this, right? This is 2009 where they went out, Sabathia, then you go out and get Burnett and you get Teixeira, and they just, they overloaded and they went out and they won the World Series. Those days aren't coming back. And, if you want to sit here and let Hal tell you, we're right around 300 million, we're at 286, we spend a lot of money. This to me is where it falls on Cashman. Look at the roster construction that's getting you to that 286. That, in my mind, is the bigger problem right now.
Yeah, it's not that he's not allowed to spend money. It's that he just spent over $20 million on Trent Grisham this year.
That's
what?
What? That was an exception. We saw what Trent Grisham was in the postseason. We saw what he was in the postseason. So, all right, I want to do the Bregman thing now. Okay, so
I'll pop up the comparison. You want the Bregman? You want the Bregman and Bellinger comparison?
Yeah, put it up because I think in my mind this kind of shapes what Bellinger's worth. Now I know they play different positions. I know one's an infielder, one's an outfielder, and I also want to qualify this by saying it's not always about numbers, and I understand that. I also think at times you need to pay for fit, right? But how do you quantify how much you pay in terms of fit, like what he does for the lineup and what he means to the team? Because if you don't have this guy, I think the Yankees are in a lot of trouble. I mean, I think having him kind of, hinges on the Yankees' ability to compete, right? If they don't have him, they're in a lot of trouble. They are really in deep shit in my mind. So, Bregman, just looking at what I have here.
This is 3-year averages that I have up on the screen. So the last three seasons average per season.
Yep, and I had the versus graphic on Baseball Reference. WAR, Bregman's higher. Games, I'm not really looking at that. Plate appearances, hits, close. Home runs, close. Bellinger has the advantage there. RBIs, Bregman's slight advantage. Stolen bases, it doesn't really matter to me.
Except they're the same offensive player here, really.
Yeah,
they really are.
So that's my point, right? On base percentage, slugging within 2 points of each other. OPS plus, they're the same player. I think Bregman's just about a year older, and he got 5,175. So this is Scott Boras maybe, and they both have the same agent.
Yeah.
I think Bellinger's more in that line of 175. I think you can get that done, maybe a little bit more. I think it gets done. I think 7 for 36, 37 a year is overly aggressive.
What's Bellinger, like a year younger? So let's give him 6. Let's give him the extra year because he won 7. Give him 6. 7's insane, and that's fine. And I think the last 2 to 3 years of the contract's going to suck. But whatever.
What are you paying for at the back end of that contract? That's all I'm saying. 7 years is aggressive for him. But the Yankees, Boris knows the Yankees are really they got a problem because I'm not even. I'll tell you this, guys, and this might be me being cheap. I'm not sure if I'm inclined to give that kind of money to Kyle Tucker because he's had some injury issues. But I do being
exploited because they're desperate.
But I think they might be in a situation here where they're going to have to make a desperate move, or at least if you can go out and get a guy like Bo Bichette, right? Because I don't think the Yankees are going to sign Jazz long term. And then Bichette can be your second baseman. But I think the Yankees, they have a problem.
Yeah, they sure do. Don't forget, they're starting the year with pitchers that are injured as well. Because Carlos Rodon is going to miss the beginning of the season, and so will Cole. And they still haven't done anything to field a solid 5 starting rotation for the first month and a half.
And
so I think they have a problem. They have a problem everywhere.
I think in April and May you can kind of get away with it, but over the long term, yes, I agree with you. But I do think they need an extra arm. I don't know if that comes in free agency, somebody who's serviceable. I don't know if that comes by trade. That's probably the more likely scenario. Yeah. But what are you trading?
I'm at a loss. It's frustrating. You're ruining my Sunday discussing this. All
right. On to the Knicks. On to a good team. On to the Knicks. All right.
Are they?
Right now they're not great. They're still top 4 in the East. So they're 6 and 7 since the NBA Cup right now, right? So people want to blame this on the NBA Cup. I'm not going to do that.
Hey, Taki, let's answer Taki's question real quick.
When was the last time the Yankees have had such a lack of
1993?
What is the last time the Yankees had such a lack of talent on the roster? I don't know, Stump Merrill.
Greg Padaray, Tim Leary.
Oh, God, Alvaro Espinosa.
Don't slander Alvaro Espinosa. He's come up twice now in 2 weeks on our show.
Yeah.
Not slander Alvaro Espinosa. But you can slander Steve Sachs. He was a jerk. I met him at a signing once.
You know what I actually watched the other day? I watched that Simpsons episode where they put together the team of ringers with Darryl Strawberry and Don Mattingly, and that was right around
the time. Is that when Mattingly got yelled out about the hair?
That was a play on Steinbrenner suspending Mattingly for a game or two for not shaving or something like that. That was Mr. Burns going after Mattingly for not shaving the sideburns. So, all right, Knicks 6 and 7 since the NBA Cup. I'm not ready to blame this. They've had a brutal schedule in terms of frequency and when they play. The good news is Josh Hart is on the verge of coming back. Okay. He's been out 8 games, and I think you're seeing like Josh Hart. Yeah, the numbers aren't great. They're good, but the numbers aren't sexy, so to speak. But he's really a glue guy with the intangibles and the energy, and I'm hoping he makes the difference. And I think there's an opportunity for them to turn it around. So without Hart during this stretch, they're 3 and 5 without him. They've lost 5 out of the last 6, and maybe he'll come back tonight against Portland.
Yeah, I have concerns to how inconsistent they look. I know a couple games after the Cup, they were tired with the schedule is what it is, but I have my concerns that this might not be the roster that we want to move forth with.
Listen,
Diamond Dan, would you do the Giannis? If it came up where you could do a Giannis move this season in the middle of the season, would you do it?
What would it cost though? What would who are you willing to give up to get Giannis?
See, Dan, I think you're going to have to get a third team involved, and I think you're going to have to take some key pieces off this team. Like, is it a Josh Hart? I'm not ready to do that. Is it a Towns? I could probably part ways with Towns because I think he's more – I wouldn't say he's like a perimeter setter, but I think Giannis obviously brings more to the table in terms of physicality, especially inside the foul line and what he'll give you. But you're probably going to have to break up some key pieces of the team, and I'm just wondering if that's the type of move you make in season. But then again, I'm kind of conflicted because – I sit here and say, well, if you have a chance to get this guy and this is your only shot, you do it. But then Giannis came out and did say that he has no intention of leaving Milwaukee and he's not going to demand a trade. So.
Yeah, it's a nice dream to have, but I don't know. I'm with you, Seth. I don't know if you break this team up now, mid-season, especially coming off a tough West Coast trip here. And a lot of I see, especially take the Suns game the other day, right? Like the Knicks scuffled at the end, but these are about matchups, right? And you had, Brunson and Booker, and there were, a lot of empty holes down low, and they can go big. These West Coast teams can go big, and like you've got, Robinson in there with Cat, like that doesn't really. I don't know if that works, right? So I think to your point, this is a tough stretch. They're on the West Coast. These are games in the middle of the season, pre-All-Star. I think they're going to be fine. Do they need the extra piece right now? And would that disrupt the chemistry? That is the question.
So I'll tell you what I'm concerned about. And before I get to that point, there's something that's really, is concerning me. They're getting to a soft part in the schedule. Anytime you go from east to west, west to east, it's tough, even if the teams aren't great. But they're hitting a really soft part of the schedule right now. So tonight they have Portland and Sacramento. They've only won 8 games. They're 8-30. Golden State, they're listen, you always have to pay attention when Steph Curry and Steve Kerr and those guys are involved, but it's not your father's Warriors. They're 21-18. Phoenix back at the Garden, then Dallas and the Nets. I know the Nets have gotten better, but they're still 11-24. And then you have Dallas, who's 11 games under 500. So, you look at this 6-game stretch, I think 4-2 here is a reasonable expectation. I would feel better about this team if they were able to do that.
There's a word you said, Seth, that I'm going to double down on. You said soft part of the schedule.
Yeah.
The game against the Suns the other night, what was soft? The Knicks were soft. They were bodied and beaten, and they were abused. And I am so glad they don't have to play the Suns unless we get to the finals and the Suns are somehow there. They look soft, Seth.
Listen, I think that's why the NBA is a game of matchups. It's not always about record. Like the Knicks are better than the Magic, but I think the Magic have given the Knicks trouble, and I'd be very concerned about a team like that in the playoffs, quite honestly, even the Sixers too. So I think, it's not always about seeds to me. It's about how do teams line up and how do they match up. I'll tell you this, Dan, and you can comment on this because you're up there. The Celtics, the fact that they are so good, and now there's talk about Jason Tatum coming back from that Achilles, like they're tied for third in the East with the Knicks. That kind of scares me a bit.
Yeah, they're playing good ball, and they figured out a way to get through. It's not I can go back and forth about Jason Tatum all day and who's the most valuable player on that team. But, you have –
love Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I love him. Yeah. You've got you have the consummate year after year 6-man and Pritchard coming off the bench there. They've got depth. They've got a first-round draft pick in Jordan Walsh who's filled the gap, right? Like they're protecting those guys, and that's why they do it, so that when a Tatum isn't in the lineup, they're still a complete team and they'll be feisty. So, I know the Knicks have a big matchup with the Celtics coming up on the 8th. Diamond Dan and family will be in the arena for that building. So maybe by then, the Knicks will have figured out some of these kinks in the road trip and get Hart back and be more, a more complete team. But I think that will be a huge bellwether on Super Bowl Sunday when the Knicks come to Boston and play the Celtics to see where everybody's at.
Jason, you said something before, and I was struggling to find the word, but you kind of hit on it. I think the Knicks are missing some grit this year, and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that getting rid of Thibodeau was a mistake. I think Mike Brown is doing some good things. I like their style. I think it's a bit more of a wide open game. He's using the bench more, obviously, and I think that'll benefit the team when they get to the playoffs. But I'm not saying this has to go back to the 90s with Pat Riley and Street Ball and Rucker Park or anything like that. But there are a lot of times with Thibodeau where we saw a little more toughness and a little more grit, and I think that's missing right now.
Yeah, they got some big guys. Cat, Robinson, they're not gritty. I don't think they're very physical for their size. But this is where they miss Hart, because Hart is a gritty guy. OG, like God forbid, I keep saying this because I truly believe it. God forbid OG goes down again, the Knicks are fucked. Well, okay, because OG is the heartbeat of that basketball team. right? How hard he plays on D, how dirty he gets. Those are the guys that really drive a lot of that for the Knicks. So losing Hart is really impactful. Losing OG will be death.
I'm hoping a lot of this gets solved when Hart comes back, whether it's tonight, whether it's the next game. But you remember when they first got OG, when they traded for OG and he went down, their record without him was terrible. I mean, you see the impact of what he brings to the table. So
we'll see what happens, Seth.
Jason.
I can't agree with Jason more that, man, the Suns played hard defense the other night, and the Knicks almost melted. And, I think it was the first time all season I've seen Brunson rattled, right? And he dribbled the ball off his foot in crunch time. He was missing like 20-footers, and I don't know. They just seemed really disorganized. And if that's a playbook piece that's going to come out now, that's something you got to look at. I think if they've now been exposed a little bit as softies, or you're going into the back end of this season, teams are going to play them harder, and that might not be good for them.
Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I was just watching Emmitt Smith do the cha-cha on a Geico commercial. I've never seen that before.
He's a world-renowned dancer. Yeah, it's football time.
But
so no score in that game yet, right?
No.
Jags. Bills,
I'm not putting my Sirius XM NFL radio update hat on now. I'm just a casual observer today. We didn't even talk about how the Knicks were dismantled by the Pistons. I mean, that was non-competitive from the jump. I mean, we weren't even texting because what was there to talk about?
Right. Well, I feel like that's a karmic return because the Knicks did beat up on the Pistons for 2 seasons. Cade Cunningham is a man now. Like, those guys are they're here to play, and they've made a statement. So can they keep it up? They're young guys. It's a young team. Right, so can they keep it up through the whole season? We'll see, but they're not pushovers anymore.
So
Taki's right. Taki, look at this. Taki with the analysis about getting on Brunson.
All you have to do is get on Brunson, and the Knicks fall apart. So I think there's something to that. They do have other pieces now, obviously, right? They have Cat, and he gives you some offense, and they have some other options. OG, obviously, and Hart when healthy, but I will say what concerns me. I feel like Brunson tries to do too much.
I was going to say, they have these pieces, but does Brunson know? Because his fourth quarter against the Suns was terrible. Yeah. He tried to play hero ball. He made some awful decisions, and ultimately that cost them the game. So does he know that they have other pieces? Is what I wanted.
So, guys, this is my fear. This is my big fear with the Knicks. I mean, we were in basketball purgatory. I said this last week, Jason. I probably went, and I grew up on the Knicks, and, all things being equal, all teams being great, gun to my head, I'm a Knicks fan first before anything else. That's what I grew up on. My fear is that if they're not careful, the window's going to close. And then we're going to be stuck. I'm not saying they're going to, get back.
They're going to be like the Rangers.
They'll be stuck in mediocrity. I don't think they'll get so bad where it's going to be like. Well, that takes me to my next point. But I don't think it's going to get so bad where it was with Isaiah Thomas that 1 year when Larry Brown came in and they won like 12 games, like where it was horrible. I don't think it's going to get that bad, but when you get stuck in mediocrity, that's my fear. And I don't think we're there yet, and I don't think we're there next year. But if they don't get moving soon, I think we're going to run that risk. I do.
Seth, the Rangers were on the precipice of a Stanley Cup final 2 years ago. They're now one of the worst teams in hockey.
So
we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful about how this shit goes down, because enjoy the good times while you can. Because the bad times are right around the corner. Right around the corner.
You know what I find interesting about Brunson, though, because Taki's on this? When the Knicks signed him, people thought that would be a bad move that would backfire. Do you remember that? They just, it was a mistake. But I don't think it's been a mistake. But I just, the knock on the Knicks in the 90s when Checketts and Grunfeld were there, they never got a second piece for Patrick Ewing, right? So I don't know if Brunson is that number one. I think he's more of a 1A or 1B, which isn't a bad thing. But, that's why, a guy like Giannis, oh, my God, he changes the course of your franchise. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
So there's two ways to think about it. Your way of saying Brunson's the 1A, he needs a 1, or is Brunson the one who needs a 1A? And I thought that was the play for Cat.
Yeah, I think
so. I don't know which way you go with that.
I think you need something else, right? Like we saw this a few years ago with Tibbs. You had all these guys like Brunson and Hart and Dante DiVincenzo, who I hear people, including Ryan, talking about trading for again. Couldn't do it last year because that's against NBA rules. Yeah. But, we saw that collection of role players and Brunson didn't work. I think they're slightly better than that now. But who's that other stud, right? Like, is Karl Anthony Towns, if you're an opposing coach, are you afraid of him, right? Josh Hart, we're singing his praises. Are you afraid of him? Who's that other guy going to be? We never had it in the 90s, and I think even though they were very close in Game 7, 6 points away from winning a championship, Starks 2 for 19. But who's that guy going to be? And I don't know if that guy is on the roster right now, and that's what scares me.
Yeah. And that would be terrible. By the way, Dan, I hope you took the under in Bills Jaguars because they're still scoreless with 5 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Still nothing.
Wow.
All right. So, Jason, I'm going to close out on this. I want to read some quotes from yesterday, and I want to get your reaction. Okay. All right. Some of the quotes from yesterday. Mike Sullivan, I don't have words. JT Miller, as bad as it gets, make you want to puke, let it feel terrible. The crowd in Boston chanting, we want 10. What happened with the Rangers after that Winter Classic when they've spiraled? They've lost 3 in a row, that 10-2 blowout. You don't use that word blowout in hockey very often, but it's appropriate for yesterday. What's going on?
They've been bad all season. The Winter Classic is not the winter. No, this is not news to anyone. This is not new. They're a terrible hockey team. They've been such. They had like a good first 2 weeks of the year. They've been such all year. They're awful, and it's disgusting. It's an abomination, and it's disgraceful. And I want to know, after sitting Mika for one game a couple weeks ago because he got stuck in traffic to be late to a team meeting.
Yeah,
I want to know what the repercussions are going to be for 18 guys not showing up yesterday. Can you bench them all? Because the only guy who showed up was poor Jonathan Quick, who, if I was Jonathan Quick, I would have left that game middle of the game, skated off the ice, took a flight home by myself, and never came back. At his age and stuff he's done in this league, he does not need to be a part of this. I hope the Oilers offer us a first-round pick for poor Jonathan Quick so he can go try to play for a Stanley Cup. Because this is disgusting. This is absolutely fucking disgusting.
Can't top that.
Up in Boston, nobody showed up. JT Miller can talk all he wants after every game. It feels terrible. It feels terrible. What the fuck are you doing about it?
Well, Ryan wonders why any of us are still watching this team and why people are still going to games unless the tickets are free from your boss.
And I don't get, and as Ryan knows, we don't get free hockey Ranger tickets. So, I'm done. Obviously, my last game was in November. But yes, I did watch a portion of yesterday's game. It was 1 o'clock on a Saturday. What else was I doing?
So,
but I'm not spending money on that.
So I know where you stand on Drury. I just want to frame it. I'm being dumb here because I'm not a hockey expert, and I want to understand why. So I heard Dolan's interview on WFAN with Carton and McMonagle. And from what I heard, it doesn't seem like there's an inclination to do anything with Drury right now. You have some tough contracts on that team, right? So, I mean, how do you turn this around? I mean, it probably can't be turned around this year, right? How long is it going to take? You brought in Mike Sullivan,
10 guys on this team have a no movement clause. So moving contracts is very difficult. Panarin's a pending free agent, so you're going to try to move him. He has a no movement clause, so he has to agree to it, right? JT Miller is getting old. You just signed him. You traded and signed him.
Really
Mika has like 17 years left on his contract. Your goalie just turned 30, so he's not getting any younger. Adam Fox keeps getting hurt. And guess what? There are no prospects. because everyone you draft is a bust.
All right. So, Jason, this is on the GM.
Alexis Lafreniere, I can't get him out of here quick enough.
So is this Isaiah Thomas?
Back to France.
Is this Isaiah Thomas part 2? It's amazing how the Knicks and Rangers have reversed. It's like the Knicks now are a soundly run organization in the Garden, and the Rangers are what the Knicks were in the early 2000s.
And I don't know what voodoo curse Drury has on Dolan, but he is the same. He's his boy. I have a theory that he was a weasel that talked Dolan into firing JD and Gorton, and Drury did it from the inside. And Drury's going to be here forever.
So I spoke to somebody yesterday because I was in the Sirius newsroom, and, we were talking about this. And like I said, I'd like to ask questions when it comes to hockey and what's going on because I don't really know a lot about it. And I don't pretend that I do. And he actually said that a lot of these guys are guys that Gorton and JD signed, and Drury's trying to clean up the mess. Is that not true?
Well, yeah, I mean the draft picks of Kako Lafreniere were the correct picks. They just didn't develop, or they suck. But they're actually going back at it. You wouldn't have drafted anyone else. But at the same time, you had a team that was on the doorstep of a Stanley Cup final with Drury as the GM that was handed to him, and they've done nothing but go backwards under Chris Drury.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that tell you about that? He couldn't put the pieces together to finish it, and now it all fell apart.
Yeah.
So that's my Drury problem.
So Drury's the issue then, in your mind. I mean, so that's he's the one. Yeah. But how do you get out from under these contracts? I mean, so what trades can you make? I mean, is there anything that can be done this year, or is it that
all day? And I want to watch football.
Okay.
I want to stop talking about this. Right. The Rangers are in big trouble. They're not going to be good for many years.
So angry.
These are the dark ages.
You know why I'm doing this? I'm just doing this to get you angry, man. That's it.
We are back in the dark ages. I suspect this is going to feel a lot like when Mike Dunham was the goalie, and it was like 2002, and they were really bad before Yager came on the scene to right the franchise. The next 4 to 5 years are going to hurt, and they're going to hurt badly.
But you know what's amazing?
Gird your loins and be ready.
You know what's amazing? Like, we've all been there. We've gone to games. I do watch some of the games on MSG and whatever. And the building is full. It's full. Like, people go. They have a great season ticket base. I mean, maybe a lot of those folks are selling their tickets. It's a tourist attraction, although probably not in January or February, although people are always rolling through and they want to go to the Garden, whether it's a Knicks or Rangers game, and they'll pay. But they're still filling the building, and I don't see that changing.
Well, this is the first year. I mean, last year wasn't great. This year it's getting worse. Eventually, it'll catch up to them.
Like, the indicator to me, though, is the prices on the secondary market. Once you start seeing those come down, then you know that the interest has waned. Anyway, I'm sorry to do this to you, Jason. I just
way to ruin my Sunday. Just like
for those that don't know,
they're gonna start selling. They're gonna. The Rangers are going to become the team that everybody goes to New York to watch their team play against.
I was wondering if that's true. I was wondering if Dan's car got stuck in the Pine Barrens out, down like in New Jersey or something like that. He keeps cutting in and out.
No, I just wanted to hear Jason self-destruct about the Rangers.
Tony. And then the phone goes
down. Dan's going to be eating ketchup packets out of his car later.
Yeah.
All right.
If you can't hear me, I'm going to go watch playoff football, but it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Dan, great to see you. Hopefully we can actually see you next week, but you know what? Your participation is definitely welcome. I will have to take the lack of a video appearance up with your agent, though, because you're not going to collect the check.
So,
but you're here. That's all that
someone
matters.
Will answer eventually.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
See you, man. All right.
See you later, Dan. Did you see this? This was a mate. Wait, hold on. Wrong.
I saw that already. Yes.
Hold on. No, wrong thing. Hold on. What? This was funny.
You did that yourself, right?
I did. ChatGPT did it.
ChatGPT. I mean, the technology now is compared to when we did this in the dark ages, 6 years ago.
God.
Remember those days? God, those were awful. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in a whole other part of the country.
I actually had a mullet. I had a mullet out of the hat.
Yeah, you were.
Didn't get a haircut.
Oh Lord! Well, I think it's time to go watch some football. The Bills are up 3-0.
I'm gonna try to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to be an engaged dad and take my kid out to play some soccer at halftime at this one. Because once I get back and sit on the couch, I'm not leaving. So, in my chair. So,
all right.
Are we doing this next Sunday? Is this happening again?
Yeah. See you next Sunday for the Sunday beef, right?
Should I put this as like a recurring meeting on my calendar?
Probably you should do that. Yeah. Recurring meeting.
Meeting. I think I'm good. All right. Sounds good.
All right. See you next Sunday for the Sunday beef, Seth. Have a good day.
Thanks for tuning in. See you later, y'all.
Later. All right.